Evening, everybody. Welcome to Sphons CCW Live Show. 9/11 is the day today. Obviously, the show is brought to you by Sphons CCW. What we got for class schedule? 9:20. We got a lot of slots open for concealed carry. 10:18 is the next concealed carry after that. And then
Three. We got 2 or 3 left in. Students left in that one.
10:3 we have a NRA basic pistol. You can use that for concealed carry. And then 11:15 for concealed carry. Advanced classes, defensive pistol this weekend, and 10:10 we're gonna have pistol fundamentals again. That's always a fun class. All shooting. Learn how to run your pistol like a boss. Instructor classes 10, 3, and 4. Got pistol instructor. Got to do both days. 10, 24, and 25 is rifle instructor. So if you want to be NRA instructor, then get in one of those. 10, 24 is also basic rifle and carbine. So if you want to get better at your rifle or carbine, then get signed up for that one as well. I think that's all we got on schedule for the moment. As always, keep an eye on our pages, YouTube, Facebook. Keep an eye on our website. There's always changes in venues and new stuff coming around, so there may be some stuff up there if you want to get in on it. Range and carry tip. Did you have something for range and carry tip?
Be aware of your surroundings. Be always aware of your surroundings. If you're out and about, you really shouldn't be in conditioned white anyway. To be somewhere between conditioned white and yellow, being aware of your surroundings and aware of any potential threats. That's kind of the world we live in nowadays. You just don't know when you're going to run into something that you had no idea was going on and end up in the middle of a protest.
Yeah.
So or worse.
And that kind of leads right into the range tip would be break the concentration off the target and take a look around.
Yep.
After your shot string.
Scan and assess.
Yeah. We're not big range theatrics people, but you need to be able to turn this on up here before you turn this on. So when you're done with your shot string, just take a look around and make sure that everything is still there. I mean, can't tell you how many times we walk up on a range and there's somebody shooting, especially in ear protection and stuff like that. We walk right behind them and they just don't see you, don't hear you, which compounds it in ear protection. I mean, I'm not saying sneak up on your buddies at the range, but break the concentration and take a look around.
Well, and even changing targets and stuff like that. Even break the sight picture, break the concentration on one shot string, and throw something weird in the middle. Just to break your concentration, so you're paying attention to more than just pulling the trigger.
Yeah, be able to turn that brain. You should be at a level of practice that running the machine is kind of second nature, and that way that helps. You can turn your brain on. That's the biggest part of it is your thought processes and being able to move through situations and process that process what you're actually seeing and be able to do something about it. So
it's that division of tasks that always gets us. If you're still concentrating on the tool, then you can't concentrate on the problems surrounding you. So,
well, and if you get into a defensive situation, you shouldn't be concentrating on the tool,
Yeah.
at all.
That should
Should be all done, And like we always tell everybody, your worst day on the range will be your best day in a defensive situation.
Yeah, pretty much. So roaming around the internet, I come across a couple of cool videos. One I wanted to show you guys, and let's see if I can get it up here. This one, right here. This is a Budweiser commercial, and I do believe that, yes, February 3rd, 2002, on that year's Super Bowl is when this commercial aired. So, being that we are 19 years later,
Yep.
I think it's probably a good thing to take a look at. I'd never seen this commercial before.
I don't know if I've seen this one.
So, just something kind of cool for you guys to check out on the anniversary of September 11th. So, take it for what it is. A lot of people had a really bad day that day, and pretty much changed the world as we know it, ending in that particular era. All right, we're going to split the news up a little bit, and we're going to do a couple of them, and then check out our defensive video, and then go from there. A couple things that, and the reason I want to do this is we talk about being aware of your surroundings. This Concealed Nation article really popped when I was setting the show up. A 17-year-old girl shoots a delivery driver point blank after he shot and killed her robbery accomplice. In Lafayette, Indiana. This was 9/4/2020. 2 people are dead, including an armed citizen, during an attempted robbery on a pizza delivery driver. Domino's pizza delivery man Joshua L. Ungersman shot and killed 19-year-old Alberto Van Meter late Monday when Van Meter tried to rob him in the 1900 block of North 16th Street, according to a witness who might have been the last person to speak to Ungersma. Following the shooting, Van Meter's accomplice seems to have taken matters into her own hands. At 17 years old, the girl walks up to Ungersma while he's standing in the street and shoots him point-blank range, killing him. Police took the girl into custody on the scene. She sits in jail. Prosecutors are looking to charge her as an adult, as they should. After Ungersma shot the robbery suspect, he told witnesses to call 911, which they did. Shortly after, that's when Ungersma apparently let his guard down and was shot by the girl. 19-year-old Alberto Van Meter was identified as the man shot and killed by Ungersma. The 2 people dead and another with her life ruined for what? A few dollars from a delivery driver, which wasn't even accomplished. The self-defense shooting isn't over until one is certain that no other threats remain. The girl in this case, who seems to have been out for revenge, was still a very real threat to our armed citizen. Ungersma seems to have let his guard down or didn't believe the girl to be a lethal threat, and it cost him his life. It's always a sad day when the good guy doesn't prevail, and especially when something like this happens. A 17-year-old girl with no direction in life and no respect for human life makes the decision to act after the fight is already ended. Hopefully, she is tried and convicted as an adult and spends as much time as possible away from society. If you're ever in a terrible situation like Ngursma was, remember to keep your guard up for as long as possible because the fight may not be over. Get yourself to a safe place if possible, and then wait for police to arrive. Starting immediately after an initial concealed carry class, when we get people back for more advanced classes, we start on the cover and concealment, really burning that into their brain and burning that into their muscle memory that your cover's your cover. You don't give it up until you're forced to give it up. So before the shooting, hopefully, you have some type of cover available and picked out. And then even if you prevail in the initial gunfight, you should still be moving to cover and then making it so that people cannot come up behind you and holding that cover until help arrives and not letting it go at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I saw a good one just a couple days ago. Yeah, actually, it was on Facebook. If you're not shooting, you better be moving.
Yeah. If you're not shooting, you better be moving.
When I think a situation like this happened, it was 6 or 7 years ago in that one Wally World. There, the guy came in and started shooting the place up, and the guy took him down, and his partner came around and shot
him in the back.
Shot him in the back. So remember, all these criminal elements. A lot of times they work in packs, and if you've been watching our show, you see a lot of these defense videos that we show you. There's multiple people involved. It's we got a lot of it. There's a lot of videos out there where you show 2 and 3 people attacking 1 or 2 people.
And especially
they rove in packs. They're apex predators, and a lot of predators rove in packs.
Yeah. So you got to watch your 6 or have somebody watch your 6 for you. You can't just take it for granted that somebody's not going to walk up behind you. For Pete's sake,
there again, be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Those 2 Minerva guys last week should have been aware of their surroundings with that frying pan. They learned that lesson real quick. They won't. I probably won't make that mistake again. But and that's the thing, and that leads us right to this surveillance video that I found. We're going to try and make this a little bigger. So backstory here. This dude walks in for whatever reason, hops over a turnstile or a counter or something, pulls his gun, and then essentially is robbing what looks to be the cashier right there. And what we need to be aware of is all of these people back here, right? So this is a different camera angle. For whatever reason, I do believe he opens fire in this direction. But what I want you to look at is this guy back here.
Fucking Aldi's.
Yep. And I actually made a mistake. It's not this guy. It's the guy all the way in the back here.
Back there,
okay?
Yep.
So the robbery is done.
He pulls the gun.
He pulls the gun and fires crossways at this guy who's walking by him. This, depending upon a bunch of things, this could be an issue because the guy's walking away. Now he's still armed. He's still dangerous. but he's on his way out. The problem here is, and you'll see him come up.
Yeah, he does. He shoots.
You see, he's looking at this individual right here, and he raises the gun, but then doesn't engage. He waits till he goes past. Right there, and he starts moving. But if you notice, he took a step forward, and this turnstile blocked him. I don't understand why he didn't see the turnstile. The other problem is he's got cover right here.
Yeah.
And concealment. Why is he standing up? Because he's more concerned about the tool than he is about everything that's going on around him.
Well, and he had, from the looks of the whole thing, he had plenty of time. He could have come in
that direction
and probably got around that one.
Yeah.
Or filed in under it and came out low
and
at least had concealment.
He could have used his cover in a vertical plane, which is the easiest thing to do right here. Yeah, I mean,
you look at a lot of the studies, a lot of times, the bad guys, they don't. A lot of times they, looking at a lot of some of the shooting studies and stuff, they're finding the bad guys don't seem to be willing to shoot through concealment as much. Where, you and I might know that he's not behind the wooden door. I got your head.
Yeah.
But
right.
But he would have had clear from
shot.
Looking at this camera, clear line of sight, clear line of fire.
And we don't know what is down below here. I would imagine if it's built like any other grocery store,
that's glass.
That's probably glass windows leading out into the parking lot. The thing is, when we're looking for defensive lanes, what's he backed up against? If I miss, is that bullet going to continue and go onto somebody who's an innocent person? And that's a big concern. But he continues to fire as he goes around, right? And the guy's literally running away. So it may be an issue. And we talk about this starting in a concealed carry class, is apply enough force to stop the situation. When the situation stops, stop your use of force. He did not do that because the guy's on his way away from him, and he continues to apply force, which can get you in trouble. And he's still, dude piles out. He was shot twice. Third robbery in 6 weeks. It was a CVS and Radio Shack. He was arrested at the hospital and sentenced to 15 years. His getaway driver received probation for assisting the 2 armed robberies. The CCW holder was commended by the DA, right? So it worked out for him. Yeah, it worked out for him. Remember, DAs have prosecutorial discretion. They can either decide or not decide to.
It's as much as everybody likes to think that the DA's offices are highly political, and so is the areas that
where they're at,
that you're at. So not completely sure. That was in Milwaukee, but maybe if he'd have been in a different city, he could have been charged. So that's
exactly
just things to think about.
You just got to make sure that your hind end is covered 100% of the time. Wow, nice miss.
Absolute fail.
Still white.
So
paper towels in the bed.
Nate has succeeded in making a mess. In any event, so beware of your surroundings constantly. Yes, Rick. as in security training class, no more than equal or necessary force. And that's a great rule of thumb. It's just that the necessary can be a very, very gray area. And it can also depend upon the person that you're dealing with. It can also depend upon the person being attacked. I mean, there's a lot of different variables to sort out there. But for the most part, yes, I agree. Only necessary force. We're going to move on to the continuing steaming pile of mess in Virginia. In Richmond, a little backstory on this. Down in Virginia, they had what they call preemption, where essentially only the state legislature can make gun laws. They took that away and allowed any of the local ordinances, county, cities, whatever, to pass their own laws. Well, Richmond decided to take them up on the offer. And they passed a sweeping ban on guns in public. Less than a year ago, when more than 20,000 gun owners took to the streets around the state capitol building in Richmond, Virginia, to rally in opposition to Governor Ralph Northam's gun control agenda. If anti-gun advocates on Richmond City Council get their way, that rally will likely be the last mass gathering of armed citizens lobbying in defense of their Second Amendment rights. City Council members on Tuesday approved an ordinance pushed by Mayor LeVar Stoney that would ban the carrying of firearms in any public street, road, alley, sidewalk, public right-of-way, or any open public space when it is being used by or is adjacent to an event that requires a city permit.
That's pretty broad, isn't it?
That's everything.
Yeah.
I mean, what the heck? That's pretty much everything. I just think that if you're going to a public event, you should be able to go there and enjoy yourself, go there for your cause, and not feel under constant threat because of individuals walking around with an AK-47, Stoney said previously. I think
so. He's
but it says carrying of firearms. So if you got your concealed carry on you and walk across through a street closed live band event,
yeah, you're illegal. It's stupid. I think this is what I think. And I haven't seen many protests in Virginia.
Yeah.
But I think he's preempting the fact that maybe Virginians don't want it down there demolishing their livelihoods and businesses and whatnot. So he's making sure that if, the rioters get down there, that you can't. Here's the thing. If you have a riot going on or that started out as a protest and they didn't get a permit, is it still enforced?
Still apply?
There were some questions asked in the meeting on August 20th about guns not being allowed adjacent to events. The mayor clarified that, saying sometimes when there's a protester rally, there are counter-protesters who may bring weapons.
So you're doing it because of the counter-protest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they had that's the thing. If they had a permit for their 2A rally,
then they wouldn't be able to carry.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess we need to have a 2A rally that doesn't have a permit. We just all show up.
Yeah.
In addition to the
massive... It's not a rally. It's just a bunch of people.
Yeah. It's a protest. In addition to the massive rally by gun owners back in January, there have been a couple of other Second Amendment rallies on Capitol Square over the past several months. We've also seen a number of armed protesters around the Robert E. Lee statue in Richmond, which has become the focal point of BLM protests in the city since June. Under this new ordinance, it is likely that none of this activity would be legal, which raises some serious questions about the constitutionality of the law. So if you're taking a right away to exercise another right, you can't do that one. Well, they can. They'll try it. They'll get sued. They'll probably lose, but it's going to take going to the Supreme Court to get it sorted out. City Councilwoman Kim Gray says she believes the language of the ordinance could also spell trouble for legal gun owners who aren't part of any protest or a permitted event. During the meeting, Police Chief Gerald Smith said private gun-owning citizens who have homes where protests are taking place outside of would be exempt from the ordinance. But 2nd District Councilmember Kim Gray says the language of the law doesn't specifically say that.
Right. So they have at their discretion to
Once
do
again,
what they
it
want.
left it up to discretion. The
Yeah.
actual language of the law does not provide an exemption. So if I'm stepping on the sidewalk to get into my car, then I'm potentially in violation of that rule. What about driving by?
Yeah.
There's a protest adjacent to that public right of way, said Gray. I think the real answer in that preventions lie in leveraging our community leaders. Gray's not exactly a Second Amendment advocate, but she's right about the vague language of the bill. Of course, even the specific intent of the legislation is problematic from a constitutional standpoint. I would say it'd be more than problematic.
Yeah. No kidding.
The city might be able to get away with banning guns in a public space as being used for a permanent event, but banning the possession of firearms from adjacent areas outside a permanent event would render the right to carry meaningless. What we're talking about here. Under this ordinance, it would be a crime to drive down a city street with your lawfully possessed firearm if there was a street festival or protest on the next block over. Gun owners who have no idea the event's taking place would still be committing a crime by simply walking near the gathering. With the new ordinance taking effect immediately, I'm guessing we won't have long to wait until a lawsuit is filed challenging the constitutionality of Richmond's new carry ban. I suspect, however, that other Virginia cities may soon follow Richmond's lead and pass their own anti-carry statutes in the weeks ahead. Well,
Hopefully.
we knew this was going to happen when all of this started going on last year. And the protest and the rally and the massive amount of gun owners that went down there, it staved it off for a couple months. But these people just won't let it go. They're intent.
They're woke.
They're just hell bent on making it go away.
Yeah, that's what they are. They're
making the carrying and gun ownership in Virginia gone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're trying to be Washington, D.C. is what they're trying to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
And even Washington, D.C. lost 2 Supreme Court cases.
Yeah. Which I saw today, I guess a couple days ago, the 10th Circuit Court covers like Oklahoma, Texas, Colorado, New Mexico, up into I think Idaho.
Yeah.
Their previous ruling from the beginning of the year upholding ATF's ban on bump stocks,
Mm-hmm.
they have vacated that ruling and sent it for review.
Oh.
Because there's no less than
So
I guess
the
like
appeal
a dozen lawsuits against it.
So the appeal court vacated a ruling of the lower court and sent it back.
The same court that
They vacated their own ruling.
they vacated their own ruling from earlier in the year because it got sent back to them by them because there's so many lawsuits.
Well, that doesn't happen very often.
Yeah.
Somebody to vacate their own ruling. It must have been a different panel of judges.
Could be. Mm-hmm.
I know there was one judge that was appointed by Trump.
Yeah.
That's on the panel.
Well,
They said they vacated the ruling because they're getting sued on the fact that ATF is a government agency, not a lawmaking device. They can't change how the law is written.
right?
No, that's true.
It is absolutely true. So, back to New York, Angelica? For what?
No, not happening.
Lost my train of thought. Amtrak. Oh, yeah. So, we got a bunch of riots going on in the country. And a lot of these people say, it's not a big deal. Insurance will pay for the damages.
Yeah, you heard that all the time.
Well, they have insurance.
Whoops.
They can pay for the stuff that's going to get destroyed, damaged, and stolen.
Well, business owners are stunned to learn insurance won't cover demolition costs of buildings destroyed by BLM rioters.
So those businesses that they robbed and looted, that they were counting on getting insurance money and then putting them back together so that later they needed to go to their Walgreens and get Band-Aids and diapers and
whatever.
TP. Now no longer have an insurance check to put it back together, so
too bad.
We're done.
Pretty much is what's happening.
You want to be paid for, if you want to pay for the demolition costs, go for it.
Well, here's the thing. The activists and their media supporters have said that business owners who saw their livelihoods destroyed during riots shouldn't worry because the insurance would cover their losses. Turns out that won't be the case, at least for a business owner in Minneapolis and St. Paul, Minnesota. Star Tribune reported that a construction crew hired by the city of St. Paul. Now, mind you, the city went out and hired a construction crew to remove these buildings. Tear down Sports Dome retail complex, which was destroyed by rioters, charged $140,000 just for the demolition.
Mm-hmm.
The city sent the bill to the owners, which was for nearly 6 times the amount the insurance would pay for demolition. We haven't even got to rebuilding yet.
Right.
Jay Kim, who owns the property, told the Tribune his insurance policy only covers up to $25,000 in demolition costs, which is pretty low to begin with.
Well, right. But when it's burnt, it's hazmat.
Yeah, it's hazardous material when it's burnt.
You can't just throw that in a trash can.
you
It has
can't.
to be
Has to be
removed by a hazardous material company.
Ablated. Actually, you know what they do with that stuff? They send it for incineration.
Yeah.
So they burn it more.
Mm-hmm.
We were really upset about that, Kim said. We thought it was high, but we didn't know how much demolition would cost at the time. Like dozens of other investors whose properties were severely damaged in the May riots, the Kim family was stunned to discover that the money it would collect from his insurance company for demolition won't come close to the actual cost of doing the job. Most policies limit reimbursement to $25,000 to $50,000, but contractors have been submitting bids of $200,000 to $300,000 in many cases. The price of the work is not much lower than the actual value of the property. That's to get rid of it. Andrea Jenkins, vice president of the Minneapolis City Council, told the outlet she thinks the companies are engaged in price gouging and that the business owners should contact the attorney general. That is a symbol of capitalism run amok, she added. Well, maybe you should have stopped them from burning the friggin' building down. Jenkins previously supported abolishing the Minneapolis Police Department before violent crime increased in the city due to the riots. Don Rachel, CEO of Rachel Contracting, told the Tribune that demolition for the riot-related work is higher, but that's because the government set regulations that require companies to treat all debris from burned down buildings as hazardous. Can we just say that, right? So, run amok capitalism, but the government told them what they had to do.
Yep.
And the government's now saying, well, you're charging too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rioters have been setting buildings on fire. We aren't taking advantage of anybody, Rachel told the Tribune. Some people might have sticker shock, but how do they know? Most of these folks have never had to wreck a building.
Okay.
Demolition costs are so high that many rebuilding projects remain stuck in neutral, leaving large sections of Minneapolis and St. Paul with scorched buildings and piles of rubble that will linger for months. It's been a big barrier to getting the street cleaned up, said Allison Sharkey, executive director of the Lake Street Council. I'm becoming really concerned that people who want to reinvest won't be able to. Some property owners are begging city officials to take the lead with contractors by combining their projects and seeking public bid for the work. They say that is the only way to make sure contractors don't exploit inexperienced property owners, many of whom are immigrants and people of color. Now, wait a minute. You mean to tell me the Black Lives Matter protesters and rioters went in and burned down people of color's businesses?
Yeah, they did.
Isn't that counterproductive?
Well, look, even like Walgreens. How many people in that neighborhood work there? If it's in the, you burn down the place where everybody works, where do they get a paycheck to?
Nowhere.
Buy necessities.
Well, here's the thing, too, right? So these people, they allow the city to pass ordinances about cleanup, blah, 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 blah. And then what do? They don't learn from their mistake. They go back begging city officials to take the lead with contractors by combining their projects and seeking bids for the work. If you would have got the city out of it to begin with,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be in this mess. As the outlet reported, St. Paul officials coordinated demolition work on several projects, including the sports dome owned by Kim, who also said he accepted the $140,000 demolition bill after other companies said they'd charge up to $285,000 for the same job. So, yeah, I guess it's not all, fun and posies. Now you have
Now that everything's burnt down and you
massive
got a dead
swaths of
neighborhood
the
pretty
city
much.
that
Are burned beyond recognition.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
produce no income,
Nope.
You
You have
can-
no tax base.
no tax base. People are destroying the buildings. I don't know how many
But the
times I've
governor
seen.
of Minnesota wanted the federal government to declare it a disaster area so they could borrow $550 million.
Yeah,
Well, no.
I don't understand. There's a ton of businesses that I've seen and heard of in these areas. They're like, we're not going back there.
Right.
Yeah. Some very large companies.
Yeah, we're not
we're
going
not
to
putting
reopen.
Same thing with Chicago. They burnt down Target and Walgreens and a Walmart and everything. They're not going back. They
No.
told the mayor to go fly kite when she begged them to come back.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I
it
mean,
creates it
why
creates
would we?
massive, like what they call food deserts.
Yeah.
Services. The people in those areas that are, all those businesses are gone. Even if excluding the employment, now they have to go to, they might have to go another 10, 12 miles to be able to go get the same
Product.
the same products to go
Yeah.
to the next closest one.
yeah, that's the whole problem.
I mean, if you took the Walmart down in Alliance, everybody that was going there would have to go to Canton or Salem.
or go to another store in town
Or go
if
to
there was another one there.
Yeah.
Right. And we've seen, and I'm sure you guys have seen it too, that pricing goes by demographics in the areas.
Yeah,
that
it
these
does.
are. So they might be higher priced over there, than it is where it was where you were.
Well, certainly.
Yeah.
So last week we talked about a shooting of a Cleveland police officer, and it looks like he was either on his way home or undercover or something like that. He wasn't uniformed.
He was undercover with a narcotics thing.
3 teenagers are now charged in connection with the murder of Cleveland Police Detective James Skrnovitz and a citizen last week. David McDaniel, 18, was taken into custody early Tuesday and charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder. 18-year-old kid. 18-year-old kid pissed his life away. McDaniel is scheduled to be arraigned Wednesday in Cleveland Municipal Court. 17-year-old Cleveland male was arrested Friday. He's been charged with 11 counts, including aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, felonious assault in connection with the fatal shooting of Skrnovitz and citizen Scott Dingus. 17-year-old male pleaded not guilty in the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court Tuesday morning. He's being held without bond. A 15-year-old Cleveland boy is also charged with 11 counts, including aggravated murder, aggravated robbery, and felonious assault. Skrnovitz, 53, was shot and killed in the line of duty around 10 p.m. September 3rd in the area of West 65th Street and Storer Avenue. He was pronounced dead at Metro Health Hospital late Thursday evening, said police. Police said Skrnovitz and Dingus, 50, were ambushed while sitting in Skrnovitz's police vehicle. Cleveland police also have additional 3 people in custody who have not been charged. The 6th suspect was arrested late Tuesday morning at a gas station on the city's west side. Skrnovitz became a police officer in February of 1998, was a nearly 25-year veteran with the Cleveland Police Department. He was assigned to the Gang Impact Unit and was recently sworn in as a Violent Crimes Task Force officer with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, working on the National Law Enforcement Initiative Operation Legend.
Oh, they're going to have federal charges.
He was also in the Cleveland Honor Guard. When he applied to become an officer, Skrnovitz wrote, "Being a police officer would give me the chance to work and help the public and a chance to keep the city in which I grew up safe. I want to commend the investigators in this case who dedicated every waking moment to ensure that the individuals responsible for this terrible crime were properly identified and taken into custody," said Cleveland Police Chief Calvin D. Williams. I'm thankful to the citizens who came forward with information. Furthermore, I want to thank the community members who have offered their kind words of support and prayers. They are truly appreciated. Detective Skrnovitz dedicated his life to the citizens of Cleveland and made our city a safer place, said Director of Public Safety Carrie D. Howard. Skrnovitz was married with 2 adult children. His funeral is scheduled for September 11th at the Cathedral of St. John the Evangelist. Anyone with additional information is asked to call 911 or Crime Stoppers at 216-25-CRIME. So, thankfully, they have gotten some movement on this.
Right.
It was an execution.
Absolutely.
It looks like an old-timey mob-style execution.
Yep.
Probably the dude that was the citizen that was killed had some information. They were investigating some folks, and it was gang-related. They found out about it, followed or found the officer and this dude, and ambushed him. That's probably what happened.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever admit it, but that's more than likely what happened.
Yeah. But in the meantime, you got 15, 17, or 18-year-old kids who are going to spend the rest of their lives pokey.
Exactly.
And maybe the federal pokey.
Well, and that's the problem is
You've killed a federal officer. Now you're going to the big house, the big house.
So what we got for product of the week?
We have Truck and Brenstoff.
Truck and Brenstoff?
Truck and Brenstoff. Combustible solid truck and Brenstoff. Anyway, we got an emergency stove.
These are the truck and Brenstoff is solid fuel cubes, right?
Solid fuel cubes. These are kind of a handy little stove. Doesn't come with the pan, of course, but you fold it up, put it in your backpack, carry it around, whatever you want to do with it. Throw it in the tub in the back of your car for, you could even use this for a little heater in your car, but I wouldn't use it for very long. It'd probably burn your nostrils out and suffocate you.
Well, I got one of these. I got one of these little stoves. They're real small, and you can put like this one. It comes with some of the solid fuel tabs with it, and this is just kind of like a refill pack for the the solid fuel tabs. You can put it like this, set it up, or put it like this. You can heat up a little metal cup of coffee, like this. You got a metal mess kit.
I think this one comes with small fuel cubes too.
Yeah, them are smaller fuel cubes.
This one, these ones are
a lot bigger.
These are the bigger fuel cubes, and these will burn for 12 minutes, and I think those only burn for 6 minutes, don't they?
Something like that. But I keep one of these in my pack when I go hunting, when I'm if I'm gonna do any do some hiking around the woods, stuff like that. Especially if it's cooler weather or whatnot.
Yeah.
It's nice. You can flip that open, set her down, light a fuel cube, set your little metal cup on there, warm up a cup of coffee, or
whatever you want to
soup. If you've got a little mess kit bowl or something like that, a little metal bowl, you can set that up. And if you're hunting, just kind of flop that out, open your mess kit, throw something in the pan, cook it up, have yourself a nice hot lunch or something like that, and it doesn't weigh nothing, just a few ounces. And
like $15.
$6.
$6.
$6 for the stoves. You actually pay more for the fuel cubes, the big fuel cubes,
for the refill fuel cube.
But the big fuel cubes they are kind of nice.
Yeah.
Right on that same idea is this wet fire tinder. If you guys ever use this stuff, and I think this kind of feels almost like a cotton type.
It's more like a solid fuel tab.
Yeah. But it's pretty much the same idea. It just doesn't last quite as long. So you could probably use something like that. But the thing is, this you can start a fire with. You can also use these solid fuel tabs to get wet wood burning. I mean, it's going to burn for 12 minutes. So, and I was looking, I don't think it says how long that those will stay lit for. But 5 minutes. It was probably long enough to get most anything to burn.
I've used these several times. Nice thing is you just flip one out of the package and just light it with a lighter, and it just sits there and burns.
Yeah.
And I've used them a few times just as something that's easy. But the one time I used them where it was really a great thing to have was we went canoeing in the Allegheny and woke up the next morning. It was 3 o'clock in the morning. It's pouring rain. So we tried to sleep for another couple hours, got up early, went out, chucked one of them underneath some soaking wet tinder. It's raining hard enough. I go like this and the water's beating off my hat. It was boiling water. I was pouring in the pan. And I was able to get a big enough fire going, and it dried out enough wood to get more wood dried that I did bacon, eggs, and toast in a driving rainstorm.
Yeah.
And we got back into canoes and started heading down river, and everybody else we went by had been trying to get a fire, and everybody's standing around a fire with sad looks on their face, standing in ponchos.
Yeah.
just a little wisps of smoke. And we had a roaring fire. And they worked great. They're, keep a couple of them in your car. You can get a fire going.
Yep. Which is awesome. That, and we got hunting season coming up. Let's hope you don't get lost, but if you want to, spend a night in the woods, get an early start, you get stuff like this. If you get rained on, I mean, it is fall, so the weather sucks.
Well, the thing about it is especially if you go to get out in the Wayne or something like that. If you're gonna go deer hunting. I know a lot of guys that they don't even think about it, carrying stuff to get a fire going. But if you spent 3-4 hours working your way back into a spot that you want to sit for the day, and you happen to fall into a pool of water, and it's 25 degrees outside.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You by the time if you just say, all right, I'm just going to head back to my car. You head back to your car. By the time you get there, you may not be coherent enough to actually do anything.
Yeah.
So,
well, even if it's 40 or 45, right?
You may have to just say screw it and build yourself a little build yourself a fire and try and dry out and warm up.
The other thing is you get back in a place, takes you 3-4 hours to get back in a place. Here comes gigantic buck. You shoot him an hour before dusk. You're just going to leave him overnight?
Yeah.
I mean, you might want to get a fire going so that you're not standing there with your flashlight.
Yeah.
You might, be waiting on some buddies to come with a 4-wheeler.
Carve off a steak, have dinner.
Well, there you go. Backstraps. It's all good. So, anyway, that's what we got for you guys tonight. Thanks, everybody, for stopping in and watching. We will be back here next Friday, 7:10. Hopefully everybody has a good weekend. I know we're going to have a bunch of fun doing defensive pistol tomorrow and Sunday. So we will see you guys next week, hopefully with some good news rather than this garbage that we seem to be blistered with lately. Anyway, stay safe, have fun. We will see you next week.